Everyone. You're welcome to Unlock Design Power, Master the Fundamentals for Business Growth. And I'd like to wish everyone happy new month and happy Workers' Day to all the working people out there. It's a great pleasure to be hosting today's training on the fundamentals of design. I'm starting off with this quote by Hans Hofmann. Design is the intermediary between information and understanding. That is, design is the bridge between you or your content and your audience. So we have a disclaimer. Some of the content I'll be using in this session belongs to the proprietary owner. It's just for educational purpose. So please, because just to be clear, I don't want any wahala. So this session is for business owners who design themselves or hire designers. So if you want a business, sometimes you have to do some things yourself. Professionals who create visual communications, whether you work within an organization or within a team, and you create visual content, this session will be very useful for you, or you're a designer or someone who wants to venture into design, right? This is exactly where you need to get started. We have a lot to cover, so I'm going to move fast. I would encourage you to invite someone to this session. We can share the link on the WhatsApp group with them so that they can also benefit. Can we take a few seconds to do that? So what we will cover today, one is what design really is. The 7 fundamental principles, essential elements of design, creating designs that communicate, tools and resources, and your next step to growth. At the end of the day, I believe you will feel more confident about approaching design. The design output will significantly improve and your message becomes clearer. As a result, you can get better results. You will understand why certain designs don't work, and you'll be able to make better decisions. So, who is Rasaq? And why should you even be listening to me? I have 20 years of design experience across different industries. My journey started with childhood drawing. I loved drawing as a child, and I created a lot of doodles on every surface that's available to my disposal. As a matter of fact, I created a movie in my daughter, and I can remember vividly. And sometimes I wish I can still find that jotter today. So just in case you later see me produce a blockbuster, just know that it's from my childhood stories. So early in my career, I struggled with communication. And this is a story I've shared a couple times. But that struggle was my motivation. Today, I help businesses and designers gain clarity and communication and to communicate with purpose. Because I believe strongly that communication or design is a communication tool, not just to make things look beautiful. As many people, including myself, used to think. A little more about me. Back in 2009, I ran a computer business center. Recently, in 2023, I won the Industrial Division Health Toastmasters District 94 Humorous Speech Contest. About 2 years ago, I trained the members of the Institute, Advanced Institute of Packaging Professionals in Nigeria. Last year, I was the president of Mary Toastmasters Club, and this picture was when we were having a demonstration meeting at the Ministry of Information and Strategy, Alausa. I'm currently with Pantera, a real estate group, and one of our recent release is the Nigerian Real Estate Market Outlook 2026 report. The report is available for sale if you're interested to learn or get insights about real estate in Nigeria. So that's enough about me. So are we ready to get started? If you are ready, please, let me see you type the word ready in the chat box. Let me know how ready you are. Beautiful. Very ready. It's Master Michael. Interesting. So let's get started. So the part one, we are going to be looking at what design really is. Beyond the notion of aesthetics, like I said, design is a communication tool. And if you are someone that communicates on a daily basis, you don't only communicate with the words of your mouth. Sometimes you communicate visually as well. And that is why this is important. But there are misconceptions around design. Because most people think design is about making things look pretty. When I started to design, that was my belief too. I was trying to improve my skill. When I see flyers on the floor, I pick it up. And the only thing I have to do is just to go home and go and redesign it to make it look better. Choosing nice colors. Many people think it's about colors. You can choose interesting and vibrant colors. Some people think that design is a finishing touch, right? I'm able to refine it. Or something only artists do. Many people think design is not for them. Yet they design on a daily basis unconsciously. So I think design is actually about solving communication problems. Design is a tool that is meant to make your idea easier to understand. It's a strategic decision. Every visual decision that you make in your piece of communication should be intentional. So you have to be strategic about it. And design is the language of your brand. And I hope you know that whether you like it or not, each and every one of us has a brand. And the communication materials you put out there is the language by which you express your brand. So what design really is that design is not decoration. Design is the art and strategy of making ideas visible, clear, and compelling. You have an idea in your head, but we cannot get into your head. So you need to make it clear, visible, and compelling. That is, it needs to be enthralling. It needs to be something that we like to read. It should be interesting. So we can't really take away the aesthetics part of design. It is absolutely important. But that is not the beginning and the end of it. Right? There is an underlying purpose why you want to create that piece of information in the first place. And that should be your primary objective. Every design decision either communicates something or confuses someone. So design is a silent ambassador of your brand, as said by Paul Rand. Paul Rand is one of the fathers of design. So meaning that when you're not in the room, design is expressing something for you. So you want to make sure that your design is saying the right narrative about you or about your product or about your person. So the part 2 is where we are going to take a look at the 7 fundamental principles. These principles, doesn't matter what trend comes up, doesn't matter what tool is trending, they don't change because they are the basic. They are the fundamentals. And once you get it right, it will forever change the way you approach your communication design. So what are the 7 principles? 1, we have the principle of proximity, hierarchy, repetition, contrast, alignment, simplicity, and balance. What do they mean exactly? First, we take a deeper look at the principle of proximity. Proximity principles says that you should group related items together so the eye reads them as one unit. When things are close, the brain assumes they belong together. When they are apart, they read as separate objects. Take a look at this illustration on the right part of the screen. If you look at the left, you see a number of circles. There are 2 categories of circles there, right? If I ask you to quickly tell me or to instantly tell me how many gray circles are there, it will take you a few seconds because you have to pinpoint them out. But on the right side, you see that it has been organized, it has been sorted, and that is what you do in your piece of communication. You bring items that are related together so that the eye can focus on them when they are looking at that piece of communication, and they are able to quickly make decision. As you can quickly make the decision here that yes, there are 8 gray circles, while there are 8 gold circles. It's easier to make that decision on the right side than the one on the side. Do we understand that? So that is proximity. You see on a business card, you see the contact information, you see the email, address, phone number, website, all of those things are usually brought together. Or an invitation card, for example. You see the date. What follows after the date? Maybe the venue or the time of the event. These are related elements. They are not just important, but they are brought together. You don't want your audience to look at the date and start looking for where the venue is on the invitation card. It will just take more time. It will waste their time in trying to demystify or understand that piece of communication. So proximity is very important. You should group related elements together. What is close feels connected. As an example, you can see proximity in use here in the Unilever logo. That logo comprises of 25 unique elements that is brought together to form one unit of meaning, the letter U. So the objects are very related. They have been rendered in a similar format, right? They look closer, they look related. That's why they can form one theme. On the flyer on the side too, you can see that information concerning the name of the company or the logo is brought together. Information regarding the services rendered by the company is brought together. It's not scattered all over the place. And information concerning the contact information are also brought together. That is proximity in use. Now let's move on to the next principle. the hierarchy principle. Visual hierarchy directs the viewer's eye through your design in the order you intend. So you have to make up your mind. What is more important or most important in this piece of communication? What is the next important item? So you have to make those decisions and use them according in your design. The most important message must be the most visually dominant, larger, bolder, and sometimes higher, because of course we read from top to bottom. Everything else supports that main message. Without hierarchy, everything competes for attention and nothing wins. So there is that competition. I want to be read first. I want to be read first. That should not be the case when you are trying to communicate visually. It should be a no-brainer when you see a very well done communication piece. It should be a no-brainer that you know what to read first. It's shouting at you that, of course, read me first. And there's something else that is saying, read me second. And I'll show you an example now. As you can see on my screen, this flyer is self-explanatory. You will read this first because it is bolder and larger. And then you will read this line next because that is the next dominant item or element in that piece of communication. So you'll probably move to the right side at the bottom and read the little paragraph. Then you can move back to the left. Then sometimes you read the italic sentence at the top. So this is to say that there are ways that you can arrange elements in your piece of communication that will literally tell people, it will guide people what and what they need to read per time. This principle is also applicable in logo design because most people think that logos are very small items or objects and they don't essentially need all the principles. The same apply, right? In this logo logo of happy energy, you can see the dominance of the word happy over the word energy, despite the fact that energy is coming before happy. But at a glance, I bet that you will first read the word API before the word energy because it is emphasized over the other word. In terms of color, size, you can tell. I trust we are following. So the next principle here is the principle of repetition. And you must have seen this in play as well. Repetition means deliberately repeating visual elements. That is, colors, fonts, shapes, and spacing throughout your design. This creates unity and makes your brand instantly recognizable. Every time someone sees your design, they should feel a familiar signal. Repetition is how trust becomes automatic. You know what happens with beginners? When you're just learning design, you learn a lot of things. You learn to use many colors, many shapes, many styles. And then you are challenged or you are prone to use all of those things in one piece of communication. But as you advance, or as you get more matured in your journey, you will learn that it is better to just decide on a few of those things that you've learned, a few of those styles, a few of those fonts that you have at your disposal, and just settle for them and repeat them across your design. It helps to create consistency in your visuals, and there is a way it calms people's view. It calms them down, right? Because there are many different things in that piece of communication that's calling for attention. They are seeing rectangles, they are seeing circles, they are seeing squares, they are seeing polygon. It's just too much. Why not just settle on one or two shapes, and repeat them across the design. It will help consistency, and consistency builds recognition. Repeat elements to create unity. You can see this in play in these examples. Coca-Cola in this poster used just the bottle of their product, and they use that to create an illusion, to pass a message. What are you seeing in that poster? Can someone type in the chat box? Apart from the bottles, what can you see in that poster? Hello, am I being heard? A smile, thank you. Academo. You can see a smile. That is creative. But beyond the creativity, they have just applied the basic design principle of repetition. They use something they own, something they have decided that this is our own. And they decide to repeat it to create that illusion, to pass that message. Remember, design is communication. So it's a message, and you can get that message even at a glance at the poster. Then just one sentence that complements the visual. 21st June, happiest day of 2013. So there is a lot of things to learn from this. Also, at the right side, you can see target. Look at the logo, right? Even in the logo, there's repetition of elements. So they use circles. In that logo, maybe you can see about 3 circles. There's one red big circles, there is a white one, then there is one in the middle, right? So that's repetition. Now, the most interesting thing about this is how they have expanded that logo into their visuals, into their communication materials. Look at billboards, look at big screens. The same decision they've made in their identity is being expanded into the way they communicate. That is repetition. That is being intentional. That is audacity, because you are confident in what you already have. So you are not looking at what some other people are using. So that is the principle of repetition. And you need to make use of this for your design or for your visuals to look appealing and easier for anyone to interact with. Let's quickly move on to the fourth principle of contrast. Your design cannot look appealing if there is no contrast in place. Contrast is the most powerful tool for creating visual interest and directing attention. It is the difference between light and dark, big and small, bold and thin. Without contrast, everything blends together and nothing stands out. High contrast means high clarity, and low contrast means confusion. As you can see in the illustration, it is the same box that is repeated 9 times, but there is one that is obviously unique. That is how you call attention to what you want people to focus more on in your piece of communication. You make it stand out. It should be evident, right? It should be significantly evident. The most important information in that piece of communication. Because difference creates emphasis. High contrast is equal to high clarity. So contrast is that thing that helps you to emphasize one object or one information over the other. You can also see in these examples, right? Fanta is able to emphasize the headline in this advert with contrasting colors, using white on a very sharp orange, which is also coated out with color purple. Even the visually impaired can easily see what is written because of contrast. Also in the FedEx logo, same colors, you can see the sharp difference in the word Fed and in the letter EX. Imagine if everything were just one color. The letter D and letter E will look like one letter. They will look together, but despite that there is no space in between the words, you can see the contrast. That's Fed, then X. So contrast is about creating visible difference in your piece of communication. Are we following? Now, the fifth principle is the principle of alignment. And this is also extremely important, and I believe something we relate with on a daily basis. You use alignment even when you are creating your social post or you are updating your status. Alignment creates order, connection, and professionalism. Every element in its design should have a visual reason for where it is placed. Earlier, I said that design is about making strategic decisions. So every element must serve a purpose because it's either adding to the communication or it's causing confusion. So starting with typography, that is the styling of the words you use in your design. There is a lot to discover about typography. Many people just think that they are just the same. There are different categories of typography. And if you're someone who is building a brand, you want to learn and be intentional about the type of typography you're using in your communication. Professionally, it is advisable to limit yourself to 2 to 3 fonts per design. Usually, I even use just one font. Across this entire presentation, I have used 2 typography. I've used 2 typefaces. So it is important. It is part of the repetition we talked about, right? You don't want to use all the fonts I know you have hundreds of fonts on your computer, but you have to decide. Remember, design is about decision. It's a strategic decision. So you have to decide on the few that resonates with your brand, that communicates your value. So you now use size to create hierarchy. And there are different styles, like I said. We have serif fonts, we have sans serif fonts, we have script, slab serif, and display. And you can see examples of each of these fonts and their associated feelings. Serif fonts communicate trust, elegance, and comfort. Sans serif is very popular in the modern age because it is modern. It is used in minimal design, right? That is what I use mostly in my presentation. Sans serif, something that is just simple. There are no special effect or special style in that typeface, like Arial that you are familiar with. Then you have scripts, we have slab serif, and you have display. So these, if you look at this, if you take a screenshot of this, you will be able to understand more about what each of these categories mean and how you can maximize them for your communication. If your audience has to work to read your design has already failed. So you don't want to give them work. You want to simplify. You want to make their life easier by keeping it simple and directing their views to the essential information. Colors too. are the elements in your design. If you are looking at any piece of communication, colors are part of what you see. Well, but what exactly do different colors convey? Color is not decoration, it's a signal. It's passing a message. Each color carries psychological weight. Limit palette to 3 to 4 colors for coherence, right? You don't want to use all the colors there is. You understand? You also want to make sure you follow the principle of repetition in your color usage. Settle for a few, then repeat it across your communication. Brand colors should reflect the brand's personality, not the owner's favorite. And these are some of the issues that we face in the design industry. Many business owners tend to let their personal desire come to play when they are building brands. We must understand that we are not creating visuals for ourselves, we are creating visuals for our viewers. And we must do things that resonate more with them than with us. So use color according to the psychology meaning they carry. While blue represents depth, confidence, calm, and trust, red is for passion. It conveys energy and power. Green, of course, is for growth, balance, safety, so on and so forth. Black is for elegance. Black is bold. We've heard that, and black is power. So royalty use purple. It's also used for creativity. So make sure that you are informed about the meaning of the colors you are using in your piece of communication so that you don't pass the wrong message unknowingly. Then the third category of elements in your communication is shapes and forms. If you're adding pictures, that picture is going to take one shape or the other. So you are going to use shape to pass information, and shapes also carry different meaning. They are the self-contained elements in your design. Shapes communicate meaning before words. They convey different feelings and emotions, so you need to be intentional about the way you use them. Circle can convey continuity, inclusivity, and motion. Something that, just imagine you throwing a ball on the floor. It's easier for you to roll and move. So it can convey speed. So all these are things that we use when we are creating visuals, when we are creating identity based on the story of the organization or the individual. Stability, strength, and balance are associated with square or rectangle. Rectangle, stability, efficiency. Triangle, mystery, direction, as pointing like an arrow. So when those shapes have life form, that's when they are in real 3D form. So they look like real objects. So all of this carries different meaning, and you want to make sure you make an informed use of them. You also have space as an element. Many people don't see this as an element in their piece of communication, right? Your canvas, that background, that place you need to put elements is also an element in your communication piece. What you leave out is as important as what you put inside. White space creates breathing room and focus. Crowded design signals noise, not value. So you want to make sure you use grid or optical balance, right? Your eye should be able to tell you. Yoruba people, because I'm a Yoruba boy, Yoruba people will say, Ojumo to yonu, meaning that your eye should be able to tell you what will feed your belly, right? So when you look at it, you should be able to tell that, no, this does not look good. So, and that comes with practice, with time. As the more you practice, the more you improve your visual judgment as far as design is concerned. So as you can see in the example, right, one is using all the space available. You are not supposed to use all the space. you need to intentionally leave some space out. Regard it as also an element in that piece of communication. It's also passing a message, because the space you leave out is calling attention to the elements you put in. So please also pay attention to that. Clarity comes from restraint. Simplicity is a design skill. Remember, we discussed simplicity as a principle of design. Now, it's also a skill on its own for everyone who is designing. And I told you that we are at different level of applying simplicity in our communication. So a lot of people understand or know simplicity as a principle, but not all of us will be able to apply it in the same degree. We also have texture as part of element that you can put in your piece of communication. These are tiny details that brings designs to life. They add depth and realism to visuals, create emotional tone and engagement, mimics physical surface. When you are creating a piece of communication, you can immerse yourself in the reality of how that visuals is actually should look or will look in real life, and try to create patterns that will communicate that realism in that piece of communication. It transforms flat design into 3D-like experiences. So usually when you have an identity, a pattern can be extracted from that, and that's part of what we do when we create visual identity for organizations. And lastly, we have lines. Those lines that you use in your communication carries different meaning. So after today, I want to believe that you will start using them more consciously. Lines shape the visual flow, guide the viewer's eye through the design. Sometimes you want to demarcate, right? When you're having, there was a sample I shared earlier, the flyer by Mary Toastmasters Club. You see when the message was at the center, right? Using center alignment. But at the bottom, there was a division where the alignment, a different alignment was used. That was because there was a division. That is the role of lines in your visuals. So you use it to create demarcations that this set of information has gone, or this set of style has gone. I want to begin a new series of style here. So that way it helps to guide your viewers' eye. It creates movement, energy, and emotion. It defines shapes, boundaries, and textures. When you create shapes, lines are what forms the edges, right? It conveys mood and style. And that's why I explain different moods that each type of lines can convey. You can see horizontal line means relaxation, flow, or calm. It's horizontal. It's like you are lying down. Do you understand? So it's a resting place. Vertical will mean growth, strength, like pillar. Zigzag movements, excitement, or chaotic, because it can move anyhow. Then curve can also be very dynamic. You don't know if it's going to turn right or turn left. And diagonal. All these are things that professionals, designers use in creating visual story, meaning that are deep, that on the periphery you may not understand, but when you look closer or when somebody interprets it for you, you will see that there is a lot of meaning that is hidden into the identity. So you can do the same even in your design. As you can see on the logos that are on the screen, IBM used 8 lines to pass a message. It conveys movement and speed. Look at DHL, same way. It conveys movement and speed. This is a quick test. Look at the way lines was used here. Can someone comment what they see in this visual? What can you see in this graphic? Love. Very well done. Allow you. That's correct. You can see the word law. And that's just not by using typeface, it's by using lines to convey a message. So this is a recap of the 6 essential elements. You don't want to forget their meaning and the meaning each of them, each of the categories carry. And the last part of this presentation is designs that communicate clearly. How exactly can you make a design that communicates clearly? The difference between good design and great design is clarity. I put together the 4-question clarity check. These are the questions you can ask before, during, or even after you've put your communication materials together. Who is this for? I said it earlier, that you are not creating for yourself. If you want to create for yourself, maybe you are creating a wallpaper. So that you can do it however, you can use your desired style, everything. But make sure you put the recipients of your communication materials at the top of your mind. Their context, their level, and their expectations. What are their experiences? You need to understand your audience. It's just like when you are presenting verbally, you have a speech to deliver. You must understand your target audience. That will guide you in putting your speech together. The same applies to design. What is the one message? Every design should have a single dominant message. So if you have a lot of messages, break it down in different designs. Make sure that one design is focusing on one main idea and maybe with supporting ideas that are related. Every design should have a single dominant message. And thirdly, is it immediately clear? So what people ask is that, does this look good? Or does this look better? Does it look better than my competitor's design? Please note that in building a brand or business, better is very relative. What is more important is differentiation. So ask, instead of, does it look better or does it look good? Ask, does it communicate clearly? Does it communicate clearly? The purpose, the underlying purpose, why you are putting that piece of communication together, that is the function. Will it serve the purpose? So a stranger should understand your communication under 5 seconds because they can immediately tell what this is about. And the fourth is that, does it end trust? Beyond passing the message, every piece of communication should contribute to your brand. And I said it earlier that whether we like it or not, or we know it or not, we all have a brand. We just need to be conscious of it and communicate accordingly in a way that elevates our perception. Brand is perception, is what people think, is their opinion of you. And from the communication materials you put out there, people will form opinion about you. So you want to make sure that beyond you passing a message, you want to make sure that it's adding to your brand value. Please remember these 4 clarity questions when you are creating visuals. So this is a simple process that you can follow right from today. Number 1, understand Who is the audience? What problem are we solving? 2, define what is the single message that you want to pass. What action do you want people to take? Then compose, bring it together, apply principles and elements in a way that builds trust and clarity. Then refine it. Remove what does not serve. Simplicity, simplify it until nothing left to cut. I said it earlier that your design is complete when there is nothing else to remove. So you are not looking at it and say, what can I add? What can I add to make it finer? You are asking yourself, what can I remove? What is in this design that is not adding to it? It is there, but it is useless. Communicate. Does it land in 5 seconds? Test it with fresh eyes. Even as designers, we try to look at our visuals from the viewer's perspective. It is important because sometimes you can fall in love with your creation that you don't want to care about how other people perceive it. No. You want to test it with someone else's view. So here we wrap up by reviewing some tools that will be of help to us. The right tools won't make you a designer. Remember, the right thinking is. So all this that I have shared will help you to think right about approaching design. And that thinking, irrespective of the tools that you are using, those are the things that will help you create compelling visuals. So I'd like to recommend Canva for your use. Canva came in as an alternative design tool for non-designers. But today, I bet you that designers are using Canva more than non-designers because the tool has evolved. So it is beginner-friendly and it's quick to produce content. Adobe Express is another free tool that is available for you. Figma also has a free tier available to you to choose for user interface design, and Adobe Illustrator or Photoshop for industry standard if you want to go into design profession proper. There are resources you can use to practice, to learn. Canva Design School. Just type Canva Design School and you will see a lot of resources that you can consume, that you can use to develop yourself further. We have Google Fonts. Google provides a lot of very decent fonts that you can download for free on your devices and use it in your communication. We have Coolors. If you don't know how to make color decision, this platform will help you to pair colors. There is a way, it's a gamified method by which you can pair interesting colors together. If you know you want to use blue, but you don't know what colors pair very well, what colors pair very well with blue or red, if you go to that site and you choose the type of blue that you like, it will generate related colors for you. So you have Behance, Dribble, or Pinterest for design inspiration. If you are just joining this call, you have missed a lot, but not to worry, I'll try to make the recording available as soon as I can. Even these presentation slides too, I'll remove unnecessary things and give it to everyone for free so that you can always refer to it whenever you need to. You should forget everything I have said today. Remember that design becomes powerful when there is clarity. Clarity of message, clarity of action. When people see your message, let them know the next course of action. There should be clear call to action, right? Imagine you want to buy something that you've been looking for. You've not seen someone who is selling that thing. And on your way one day, you just see that somebody is advertising it. Maybe you see a poster on the screen, right? And you are happy that, wow, I've been looking for somebody who's selling this thing. So, and they have presented it very well. All the features are put there. You even fall in love more. But now you want to make that buying decision. You want to proceed, but there is no email. There's no phone number. There is no contact information. There is no way you can buy. It will be very frustrating. So you want to make sure that after passing a message, you leave a clear call to action. So clarity of intent, clarity of message, and clarity of action. What action do you want your audience to take? So what's at the next step from here? If you've stayed this far, I'd like to congratulate you. I believe knowledge without action is just information. I would like to encourage you to make sure that you practice all of these things that we've discussed. Otherwise, it will fly away like birds that is free from being captured. So practice makes improvement. So just a quick recap. What we've treated today is what design really is. The 7 fundamental principles, the 6 essential elements, the building blocks of your content, then the 4 question clarity checks, and the starter tools and resources. But just in case some of you would like to go deeper, right? I have some offers here. One that if you want to learn more about design, you can put the fundamentals in action, practical exercises, real examples, and AI integration. In this age, you need to accommodate AI to fast track your process. Or if you want clarity specific to your business or career, this part may be for you. You can take a look at your brand audit to fix gaps, what you're doing well and what you're not doing so well. You reveal opportunities for improvement and align your visuals with your desired goals. And you can also engage in mentorship and consultancy services for your brand. For everyone on this call, for the next 48 hours, I'm giving 30% discount on all of this. Take an action. I'll be sharing these slides after the class, right? I'll remove all the unnecessary stuff so that it's only focused on the things that will be very useful to you. Thank you for being part of this training. I look forward to interesting designs from all of you. The group is there, and over time, I'll be sharing insights. This is not the end of this series. We are going to have other advanced training as time goes on. And at the group, if you choose to stay in the group, timely insights, and if you choose to also follow me on socials, I share valuable content on business, communication, and branding. It's a pleasure to host this session today. I don't know if anyone has a question concerning what we discussed today or on design generally. We may have some minutes to take questions or feedback. I hope you've learned a thing or two in this session today.